make yourself available when you're in the right mental health space, right? So check in on yourself, but make yourself available. I have all sorts of people blowing my mind, reaching out to me that I haven't talked to in a long time. And part of my own integrity and character is for me to make myself available whenever possible within my own, boundaries, and just try to understand that we're all isolated, we're all lonely, we're all doing the best we can, and we're trying to just mitigate some of these mental health issues, the depression, the anxiety. And so be more available, but again, just walk away knowing it's about feeling your feelings, sharing them. You don't have to tie it up in a nice bow, polish it up all shiny, or have everything always positive. It is about finding the joy that still exists around you and tapping into that when possible, but we don't want to move into a place where we're shaming our emotions. All right, now we want to go to Ray Parker Jr., actor and musician. Ray, thank you so much for being a part of our show. How are you?
No, this is wonderful. I didn't know you could do it like this. This is interesting.
You know what? It's new times. Thank God for technology. We're making it work. We're literally, in our homes. So I like to start off by asking everyone, how is your mental health?
Mental health is pretty good. I don't feel like killing myself or doing anything like that. I mean, under the circumstances, I think I've got it pretty good. All my family's here. My kids are here. We got things to do. We got card games, TV to watch. We're good.
You're smiling. So you're one of those people, I guess, that's enjoying time with your kids and your family?
Absolutely. And you got to sometimes realize, is the wine glass half empty or half full?
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm doing with some of the couples that I'm still seeing in my practice via the phone, is reminding them, now's not the time for any of those really difficult, triggering, conflictual conversations. Try to be lighthearted, play games, have fun. Is that what you and your family are doing to get through this?
Absolutely. And then we fighting a little bit too. You get everybody on each other's nerves, but it's all good.
I'm self-isolating with my cat, and my cat's been well behaved. So I got it pretty easy over here.
Yeah.
So
we have
for those,
one little dog, but he's happy.
Okay. And for those that are struggling, what tips do you think you could offer them, or would you recommend based on what you found to work for you right now?
Oh boy, if they live in California, they can go get some CBCs or whatever those things are. Take a nap. Yeah.
Sleep it off.
A lot of people do that and sleep through it. Yeah, but I think it's good to learn how to be silent sometimes. I mean, maybe this is the time when somebody could just sit home and just be silent and just get their thoughts together. Positive thoughts, that is. I think everybody should remain positive at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And let me ask you this, you're someone whose career has been a powerful part of so many moments. I mean, Ghostbusters theme song, but also looking at your resume, you've literally worked with every superstar in some capacity. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, that's a lot of fun for me. And, I look at it now and say, boy, you sure must be old if you worked with all those guys that many times. It's pretty interesting. But ever since I was young, I started playing rhythm guitar, and I played with the group called the Spinners. When I was 13, 14, Marvin Gaye, 15, 16, Stevie Wonder, 17, 18. So it kind of went like that for me. And those are all the people that taught me how to write songs and put it together. And I could form my own band and make some of my own records.
And do you find that a time like this is inspiring for your creativity, or does it tend to kind of shut that down for you?
Well, it sort of shuts it down for you, believe it or not, because you're concerned about what's going on in the world and stuff like that, which I'm usually not concerned about. I just like to entertain people. But this pandemic thing, I can't even say it, it's so bad, is really taking it out of me. It is really a little bit stressful.
Yeah. It's hard to maybe tap into creativity when your basic needs aren't met and the world's falling apart. And in talking to people like yourself, artists of all different kinds, that's kind of been interesting to me. I think I was expecting that some people might say that this might generate an interesting form of their side, an interesting side of them artistically, but it doesn't seem to have that impact for anyone.
No. I think what it's going to do, though, is bringing families closer together and people closer together.
Yeah, those are with one, and that's part of the message of this. I'm listening. Stay connected is whether you're with your family members or you're self-isolating. Just make yourself available to people. Reach out to individuals, because I am worried about what might happen from all this isolation. I'm working with a lot of people that are by themselves. So I have some questions that came in. I'd love to ask them with you. Have you
Sure.
answered them with me? This first
Okay.
one I love. This one asks, I'm sorry that this question isn't COVID or mental health related, but I just genuinely want to ask you who your favorite collaborations have been with, and I love your work.
Well, some of my favorite collaborations were with Barry White, and I say Shaka Khan, and the new edition.
Oh yes, all good ones, all good ones. Shaka Khan's coming back too. I heard her new song.
Yes, she's great.
She's doing her thing. I also saw some Tina Turner in your bio as well.
Yeah, I used to work on some of her records. There's one she did in the movie Nutbush City Limits. I know I'm playing on that one. I remember that one.
Beautiful, beautiful. And here's another question I'd love for you to answer with us. This one asks, have you ever felt internal pressure from setting the bar so high with such huge hits like the Ghostbusters song, and did it impact your mental health at all?
Absolutely not. Every record that I've ever made, I was always blessed and thankful that I got to that one. And I was never out trying to outdo myself anyway. I just like to make music because it's so much fun. So no, I would never go, anticlimactic and let that affect my mental health.
Beautiful, beautiful. I work with a lot of artists, and sometimes they'll sadly do that, right? Where they have something that's a massive hit and it becomes the bar for them and nothing else seems to live up to that. But you've had a long career, so you're clearly doing something right.
Well, only the members of my family and my wife think I'm crazy, but I think I'm sane.
Well, I haven't gotten to know you too well, but I can give you a clean bill of health for what I'm seeing tonight. So, thank you for that. You seem to have maintained a positive attitude again. So you're self-isolating with the right people, apparently.
Yeah.
Ray Parker Jr., thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Well, thank you for letting me be a part of this new modern generation technology here.
You did great. Have a beautiful night.
Okay, thank you.
And it's funny to talk about the technological piece. I'm watching the beautiful, amazingly creative things that people are putting out. People are putting out entire 30-minute shows. I just saw that the SNL cast was going to be doing, I don't know how they're pulling this off, but an entire show via Zoom with a full cast. So I'm thankful for that because, again, part of mental health is not just in feeling and in sharing your emotions and your experience and your struggles, but again, also finding time away to be distracted. And although we're taking everything very seriously, humor is a really important and powerful tool for kind of reducing some of the pressure that we're experiencing. And so it's okay to find moments where you're thriving, and it's okay to take time away and not know the detail minute by minute of what's going on in the news. Find the fun, find the joy. I wanted to also bring up something quickly that came out of The Guardian. It's a really important paper, and they were talking about ways to look at our health. And I was saying on one of the other shows that I had a little bit of concern that a lot of people are really involving alcohol as one of their main coping mechanisms or a way to distract. They're now talking about smoking and the impact it has on respiratory and lung health. So again, just a loving reminder, pay attention to the different ways that you're coping, and we should be using ones that are going to kind of leave us off better and not worse. And so now might be the time to try to cut down on smoking or completely remove it. Again, immune boosting would be about reducing the alcohol use, exercise, and good sleep. And more so now than ever, getting outdoors to get some sunlight, but also vitamin D. So be focusing on all these different factors. It all kind of has a synergistic effect, and it's going to really support what we're trying to do. Again, if you want conversation, you can do so by tweeting at #I'mListening or by sliding into our Loveline IG page. And I have a question here. This one asks, the president's reaction to this pandemic is what is causing my anxiety. It feels like our citizens are being abandoned. How can I be optimistic when our leader is so nonchalant about this crisis? There's a lot of news coming from a lot of different outlets and resources, and I think it's about zeroing in on the ones that are giving you the most honest, minute by minute and robust research with the most important experts of the field. I'm following very closely the information coming from the CDC. They are on the ground. They have the top research, the top scientists. Dr. Fauci is a beautiful part of that. So I think it's just about limiting access to the news or the social media accounts that really make us feel uncomfortable or aren't necessarily giving us the correct information or news. There's a lot swirling out there. There's a lot of fake news. And so, we're trying to provide that for you. All the experts I'm having on my show have been vetted. So really check in with shows like ours and the CDC, and that should help reduce some of that anxiety. I have another question, and this one asks, as a Chinese American, I've had to deal with people specifically avoiding me and bashing China all over the internet. It feels like we're seen as lepers, and it's depressing. How does one cope when it feels like the world is against you? Yeah, I empathize with that. There's a lot of racism and xenophobia coming out, and a lot of people really misdirecting their fear and anxiety. And that's what happen in times like this. People are scared, and it really helps for people to have a target sometimes. That's not the correct or right way to do this or to get through this, but that comes from their fear and their anxiety. They want someone to blame. They want to hold someone responsible for what's happening. And so thankfully, we're starting to have that conversation, that the xenophobia and the racism isn't helping anyone, that it's actually quite hurtful and problematic, and that there's other ways to deal with the hurt, the anxiety, and the anger of what's happening. And again, just really looking at the research and understanding that this isn't something that's based in fault in China. It's more rooted in things like, the meat industry, and that can be something that happens anywhere with a zootronic, as they call it, virus. So we don't want to label an entire population of people as responsible for the virus and the pandemic. That's just misguided. So again, care and compassion. That's what I want everyone to really tap into and leave this. What I want them to tap into and walk away from this with is, again, more of a collective perspective and understanding that we're all scared, we're all struggling, we're all doing the best we can. And so try to accommodate that. All right, right now we're going to be talking with Jennifer York, broadcaster and AMFT. Jennifer, thank you so much for being a part of the show. How are you?
Hi, good to see you. Can you hear me okay?
I can. So let's start by checking in on mental health. How is your mental health? How are you doing?
Mine?
Yes.
Thank you for asking. I think for me, I'm doing fine. I usually work out every day, so that's been really challenging not to go to my gym. Yeah. But I have realized that the good thing about this situation for me has been, because I'm doing telehealth with my clients now. When you said AMFT, that stands for Associate Mental for a Marriage and Family Therapist. So I'm still trying to get my hours to become a therapist. I've been doing it for 5 years. And so we just had to switch to telehealth, Chris, because we can't meet with people anymore. And so the thing that's been holding me through is actually helping others as I'm sitting at home doing like this, doing Skype, doing Zoom, doing FaceTime, and helping my clients that I'm not able to see at the clinic now. And it really, it feels good to be able to help others. I know you've been saying that a lot, and it really does make a difference in your life, and you can reach out and touch somebody else and make a difference. So that's been helping me for my own mental health.
And what a beautiful gift. Like, we're both blessed that our careers lend themselves to what we need. We can offer the same thing that we need back, because I know that, I'm self-isolating on my own. I'm not cohabitating with anyone. And so it just gives me a heightened level of socialization as well. I'm making eye contact with people. I'm processing, what they're going through. So what is it like for you, though, working through a time like this? Are you having any struggle staying grounded or focused?
Good question. I think because what I have done is I'm traffic reporter for KNX at 1070 AM. It's an all news station in Los Angeles. So, we're hearing news all the time. And right now, because everyone's at home, the freeways are not very busy. But what's been so interesting is I got so many calls the last couple of weeks from people just calling saying, Jen, I listen to you every morning. I listen to your station every morning. It is so good to hear your voice. And so that brings me joy, because truly traffic has been rather light. Right? You know that everybody's kind of staying at home, right? They're hunkered down. But I think it's good to be able to be there for others, to, even if the freeways are wide open or whatever, let them know that we're there for them. And I think that calms people. I think it calms people. So actually it's been really great.
Good. And it's so interesting, the news piece that you bring up about traffic, because seeing the empty highways is both soothing, because I'm thankful people are following the rules, but it's also unsettling to see them empty.
But would you think that maybe, how we say that maybe coming out of this, it will change the way we do things? And I'm wondering if people will be able to maybe do a 3-day work week, a 4-day work week, and what a difference that would have on Los Angeles traffic or around the country for that matter, you know?
Are all of our bosses listening right now? I like that. I'm down for the 3 or 4 day work week. Please say that over and over.
So I think going to work for me has been pretty good. I love being there with the people. We're all total social distancing. We wear masks except when I go on the air. It kind of feels like I have a purpose, which I was going to say, Chris, I was thinking about this, like, how do you not go bonkers when you're hunkered down and you're with all these people in your house that you're not normally used to being with your kids or your husband or your relatives or your mother? And I was thinking, if you have like a routine during your day, if you can kind of keep with it, I think that really kind of helps. And I was looking at some of the research that helps people kind of relax with this type when we have anxiety like a lot of us are having right now. So the first thing they were saying is when you get up, try to think about who you can help that day. Like plan out maybe 3 people you could call that day and write it down so you actually stick with it. And I thought that is such a good thing to think about because, yes, of course, we have to self-care. And you were talking about that too, about laughing and making sure we have, our sleep and all that. But it's also kind of neat to think about if I make a list of 3 people to call, how I can affect their lives. And I think that will help us feeling a little structured if we plan things to do that day, because we're literally not supposed to be going out of our house, right? Except to go to work or the grocery store. So I think having like a little routine will also help people. What do you think?
Oh, no, I think that's stunningly powerful. And I think that's helpful. I'm working with people that are saying I wake up and I just look at a wide open day. And next thing I know, it's 5 hours later and I'm still laying there and I've done nothing. Yeah.
Right. And, we were talking, how you were saying you're about laughter. And I thought like, you can always watch like funny movies, but have you ever fallen into the deep hole of like the SNL? If you go to YouTube and watch these SNL skits, I'm telling you, that will make you laugh forever. I love the SNL skits, and you can go for years looking at those things. And I think there's something so special about being able to laugh. And then you text your friend, you're like, watch this one. Oh my gosh, watch this one. Oh my gosh. And the other thing I was going to say, I have a friend that they had a New Year's Eve party already. I don't know why.
Oh,
and
wow.
I guess they were doing shots about some kind of game. They didn't have to drive home, so they just connected with all their friends and did shots for half the night. They were doing great.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Well, you haven't gotten into the TikTok, have you? That's another thing I'm watching some people do.
I haven't done that, but I know it's very, very popular. Very, very popular. What about you? Have you done it?
No, I'm refusing, at least now. I say that now and cut to a month from now and I have one, but I'm fighting it. There's a ridiculousness that I'm not ready for with that.
I was watching Ellen today. Of course, we all love Ellen, right? And she had on Pink, and she was talking about that she had gone through having the coronavirus, and her son, they think, as well. But she was talking about that everybody could be a hero, and I really thought about this too. She was saying how, well, obviously she has money, and so she gave to a hospital where I believe for mothers and nurse. But if we don't have money, what can we do? And to be a hero, being a hero right now is actually staying home. When you really think about it, we can each be heroes. We can stay at home, or if we have to go out, we can wear our mask. We can each be a hero in our community. I think it's a great way to feel empowered.
No, I love that because again, it's like just considering the impact on other people. I mean, that's one of the things that was really hard for me is seeing how people that didn't feel they were at risk because of their age or their health, they were like, I'm fine to still go to large crowded events. And it was like, no, but it's about the way you're impacting others around you.
So you're all by yourself. Do you have animals?
I have a cat and I'm shocked that she hasn't tried to join me yet, but the night's not over.
I have 3 and they're fighting for my attention. Isn't it fun? It's hilarious.
Yeah,
they were saying the cat, like they release something, some kind of pheromones or something that helps you feel more relaxed. So I've been doing a lot of petting my kitties as well.
Yeah. That, and I oddly became a plant person. So who knew? I have plants everywhere. It's kind of made my home more of a sanctuary.
Are you talking to? I've been nesting too. I've been cleaning out closets.
Yeah.
But the problem is the Goodwill's not really open right now. I guess you can do it online. So I have all this stuff that I don't know what to do with because I've literally cleaned out, I don't have another closet to clean out. I've cleaned out all my closets. There's only so much we can do, right? This amount of time.
I like the productivity.
I was going to say.
So I have some questions. Yeah.
Oh, that if you're struggling, I want you to think about reaching out and really thinking about calling someone and talking with them. I think it really makes a big difference. My clients that I've had for many, many years, they switched over to telehealth and they were okay. And during this time, it can be so scary because everything's so uncertain and we feel like we don't have any control. And I think no matter what you're feeling, in all seriousness, it's so important to know that somebody cares about you. And I strongly recommend you reach out and find a good therapist and connect with them because they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole purpose of the I'm Listening initiative and I'm Listening Stay Connected to show, is to let people know facts, information, tips, and tools, but also for them to know that we're here and we're listening. Jennifer, I'd love for you to answer some questions that came in for us. This first one asks, is it unprofessional? Oh, I like this. Is it unprofessional to cancel appointments as a mental health professional? I had a family member pass this morning and I need time to heal before helping others.
So as a mental health, as a therapist, to cancel?
Yes.
I would just refer out. I would absolutely cancel if you had to and refer out if it's going to be a while. I mean, honestly, I had to take some time off when I went through my divorce. I could not counsel. I needed to self-care. There's some therapists that their clients don't feel comfortable doing telehealth, so they're referring their patients out to other therapists that love to do telehealth. It was actually the therapist that didn't feel comfortable. So I think it's absolutely essential to take time out as a therapist to regroup. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're people and we have to be able to kind of sit with what's going on with us and honor that. And, we're not invincible. So yeah, model the boundaries that we talk about, right?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
All right, we have another question. Jennifer, this one asks, my company has blocked myself and colleagues from seeing patients in assisted living. Is it overstepping to suggest implementing technology systems in these facilities to get them the help they need?
That's so interesting you say that because my mother has dementia and she's in a facility and I literally just moved her from 3 hours away from Palm Desert here like 2 months ago and now I cannot see her and it's breaking my heart. And I was just going to put like a Ring camera in her room about a month ago and I didn't get around to it to where they all said, you can't go back, you can't go in right now. So it is the saddest thing. I think that's something to look into. I think it also depends, don't you, Chris, on how long this is going to be going on. They have been saying today that you could actually take your loved ones out and bring them home with you, which is what they offered to me. I personally cannot care for my mother on that respect. I have, stairs. She can barely walk. And she does have dementia. I'd be worried sick if I was away and not here to take care of her. So I cannot take my mother out, but I cannot see her. And it's breaking my heart. It's a really tough decision. What do you think about that?
It's hard. Like on one hand, I empathize with the difficulty in not seeing some of your loved ones. I also understand the importance of not. I like that we have technology, and I've seen some of those stories where people are passing soon and they're using Skype to say goodbye to their family members, and it is so heartbreaking, but it's, again, very understandable that we're trying to not put anyone at risk, and so we're doing the best we can. But I appreciate what you just said for sure. Yeah.
I know my
Tough
mom.
times.
I have one of the nurses are able to FaceTime with me at night, but she cries not knowing why I'm not there. And she doesn't really understand. I can't come see her right now. It's a very strange time, Chris. It's really unprecedented, right?
It is. And we don't have the best solution for everything. And so some of the questions, there's just not an ideal answer. It's just a matter of like, sorry to hear that. It's crushing. Yeah. Jennifer York, thank you so much for being a part of the show. And thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you so much, Chris. Great to see you.
Have a great night. Be well. Bye. Yeah, and that's the thing is this is an unprecedented time and we're learning new tools and new resources that we hadn't considered in the past or we might not have familiarity with. And there's not a great ideal answer for every problem we might encounter, but we're doing our best. So again, if you want to join the conversation, you can always do so by tweeting at #I'mListening or slide your question into the DMs on our Loveline IG page. I have a question here that says, I'm afraid my roommate either has an eating disorder or isn't eating because of depression. I noticed she has barely eaten anything in the past 2 weeks, but I don't want to upset her by bringing it up. Any advice? I love that you're asking this question, because what it tells me is you're aware of the fact that we have to be very thoughtful before we comment on someone's body or their eating and their diet, because it's a trigger for people that might have an eating disorder. So it really depends on the relationship you have with this person. If you have a very close, intimate relationship, and there is a loving way to say very transparently, I'm really concerned about the fact that I notice you haven't been eating. Are you comfortable or open to talking to me about that? And if they say no, you honor their boundary. And if they say yes, you have a beautiful discussion about what that might be. And let them know that you just want to be helpful if possible, and ask them how you can help. If you don't feel like you have a close, intimate relationship, then you want to be a little more cautious about stepping into something like that. I'm glad you care for them. But again, we want to honor people's boundaries. I would hope that they have another loved one or friend in their life that might be kind of able to talk to them about that. So maybe seek, conversation with someone else that they're closer to, because again, if we don't have a really close, intimate relationship with someone, it can be a little overwhelming. We might get defensive if someone just kind of steps in with such questions. We have another question, and this one asks, I've been taking my Benzos a lot because of my anxiety. Is it possible that I could become chemically dependent? Usually I take them as needed, which isn't often, but I've been relying on them more and more, and I'm afraid of forming a habit. Yeah, benzos are highly addictive, and they also require hospitalization often for detoxing because of the dangerousness of coming off with them. And the reason why I say that is you shouldn't change the dosage you're taking without the permission and guidance of the prescribing physician. So you should absolutely schedule a telephone session, get them on the phone, and talk to them about your heightened anxiety and get them to sign off on a higher or different dose. But you want your primary physician who prescribed to absolutely be aware of the changes you're making in both your mood and also in the medication taking. So thank you for that question. Thank you for joining us tonight. You all follow the whole advice of social distancing, 6 feet apart, be very thoughtful about the coping mechanisms you're utilizing, and focus on just sharing those feelings and being there for those around you. You all have a great night, and thanks for hanging out with me.